Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm of course your host TJ. Today we're talking actually about a more personal thing. I'll get to a pop culture thing in a later installment, but for today I want to talk about something that was really important that happened to me today, which I attended my first Episcopal service at the local Episcopal church, St. Albans, here in Salisbury. I've been sort of going back and forth about doing it, after roughly 20 years of not being a practicing Christian. I've been coming, grappling with whether I want to return to faith, and of course, the Episcopal Church is itself very welcoming and affirming of queer folk, and the more progressive branches, kind of practice queer theology. So anyway, there were a lot of reasons why I felt drawn back to it, and I was really blown away by the welcome that I received. This isn't the first time I've gone to church since I sort of have been coming back to faith, but it's the first time locally, and I think more a prelude to a more sustained religious practice, and it was quite. It was really wonderful, really, is the only way I can put it. If you are a follower here at Pisces Guide, I'm a very emotional person, but even so, it was kind of like magical, and it was one of the things that you sort of like, you want church to feel like, and that was really wonderful. I know that obviously the Episcopal Church puts a lot of faith, or put a lot of emphasis on all are welcome and come as you are, and the three-legged stool of scripture, reason, and tradition, and tradition, and all of that stuff really appeals to me, but I just didn't know how it was going to manifest in practice. And I did get emotional. I did get a little bit choked up, just because although I was not raised in a particularly stridently homophobic tradition, if you grew up in the 90s in Appalachia, you just kind of absorbed it by osmosis. And so I've always just subconsciously associated Christianity with a very sex negative, anti-queer mentality. Whether or not that was true or not is kind of beside the point. It's just sort of what constitutes my mental, emotional makeup. So sort of deprogramming has been a very long and sometimes difficult road. And so to be welcomed by, a queer rector, and to have all that, going on and feeling this welcome was really magical. And I just, I enjoyed the liturgy. I enjoyed the sermon. It was all the things that I, missed about Christianity without all of the other emotional, cultural baggage. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that's something a lot of queer people, particularly in places like Appalachia, are sort of hungry for. And so I was happy that it really fulfilled me in a way that I wanted it to. It was exactly what I've been hoping for. And so I'm sharing this because I hope perhaps it gives hope to some of the other queer folk, whether elder millennials like myself or younger, who feel that hunger for, for spiritual sustenance. And so I think that, if you can find a local Episcopal congregation that is welcoming, I think you should. So anyway, thanks as always for listening and joining me here at the Pisces Guide to Pop Culture. I'm your host TJ. Take care, y'all.